Hey, welcome back to another episode of Mindset Moment with Mel. Today, I want to talk to you about a few questions or comments that you may be hearing or that you may be telling yourself. Um, and give me, I want to give you a few tips and action steps into changing that. So, have you ever been faced with the questions or the comments of others or yourself that sound like, why don't you just snap out of it? Why can't you just be happy? Stop overthinking. It's not that hard. Be grateful for what you have. Just be happy. Can't you just calm down? How do you feel hearing these questions or statements? And I'm sure that throughout your life, you've heard this before, either being said to yourself or somebody else around you, or you've been saying it to yourself. Um, they're very common questions and statements. So, as I said, how do you feel when you hear these comments being directed at you or to somebody else? I know that personally, these questions, these statements always left me feeling frustrated, feeling angry, feeling defeated. My answer would often be, yeah, okay, let me just do that, followed by, it's just not that easy. Now, I'm about to tell you something that will make you uncomfortable, okay? But stay with me. Guess what? It is that simple. It is in your control to shift your thoughts, shift your feelings, shift your life, diminish and maybe even eliminate the crappy feelings that are consuming you. Did that just make you uncomfortable? Did that just stir up some frustration or some anger? Just stay with me, all right? Now, I did say that it was simple, but it doesn't mean that it's easy. But from my own experience, I learned that taking control was actually 100% doable. You can regain control of your thoughts and your feelings. I promise you. All right. It's completely doable. So before I keep going, let me take you back to a year and a half ago so you know that I'm not full of shit. Okay. I was working in an environment that I did not love, that exhausted me. My thoughts every morning resembled, for fuck's sakes, here we go again. Every day felt like I was battling. There was a battle inside my head as I struggled to make it through the day, and the evening would be spent in a daze from being just tired. I snapped at everyone, and I was not at all my best self. I knew that there was better. I knew that I wanted to feel better, that I wanted to mom better, that I wanted to wife better. It felt like every moment was filled with fear, doubt, worry, anxieties, and worst case scenarios. It was the queen of worst case scenarios. And I knew that I was meant to do something of importance, but I had no idea how that could even be possible, feeling the way that I felt. And to be honest, I didn't think I was worthy. Plain and simple. So then a year ago, it seemed like it was out of the blue. A mindset coach came into my life. She told me that she had an answer that would help me feel better, think better, be better. She told me that I would mom better and that I would wife better. And I remember that conversation so clearly because I had tears in my eyes as I was listening to her talk because I wanted that so badly. And I was listening to her words and I was looking at her, and she was so convinced that that was possible that I started to believe it myself. I was borrowing her faith in it. I was borrowing her belief. And I knew it was possible at some point. I just didn't know how I was going to get it. So then the conversation went on, and she told me that it was simple. She told me that it was simple, but it wasn't going to be easy. And that we had to reprogram the way that I was thinking. And I remember thinking in my head, is that actually a thing? Like, can people actually reprogram the way that they're thinking? Like, that's just the way things are. Like, how can you reprogram it? It's not a computer. But through the conversation, I wanted and needed that change so bad that that want and that need for change took control of my decision, and I jumped in with her as a coach. And then that's when the work truly began. And I kept thinking, okay, well, here we go. Like, let's see what this is gonna give me. Like, I'm gonna get better, apparently. Still being skeptical and still playing with the worst case scenarios. And yeah, but I jumped in, and guys, I haven't looked back. So for the past year, this is what I've been doing. I've shifted my habits to make sure that I was studying material that served me. I made sure that I was studying myself, getting to know myself. I surrounded myself with like-minded women. So I started focusing on the thoughts that I would allow in my mind, started eliminating the ones that weren't serving me. I started looking for the positives in myself and my environment. I focused my energy on how I wanted to feel, how I wanted to respond to things and to people. And I started focusing on who I wanted to be. So that was a key, to changing everything, was shifting the way that I was thinking, shifting the way that I was thinking of myself, right? So I stopped thinking of who I was, or who, like, yeah, who I was. I stopped allowing myself to live in the past, to live who I had always been. I wanted to be somebody, not necessarily somebody different, but I wanted to be different. I wanted to be my best self. So I started thinking and responding and acting the way that Mel Goal Achieved would be. And as silly as that sounded, when they first started talking about this, I was like, are you kidding me? I'm going to pretend that I'm somebody I'm not. But the truth is, I wasn't pretending. I was creating who I wanted to be. I was creating how I was thinking, like how I wanted to think. I was creating the goals that I wanted to achieve. I was creating me. I wasn't pretending. I was creating, and I still am creating. I also learned how to think positively. I learned how to remain in control of myself when everything around me seemed out of my control. I learned to recognize my triggers, respond rather than react, which was another huge one. There's a big difference between responding to something and reacting. Responding, you're remaining in control. You are in control. But as soon as we react, we are giving that control to somebody else. So when everything else seems out of control, that control over yourself, having that's powerful. I learned to raise my vibration. So in other words, raise my energy level and maintain it. So we attract what we put out, right? So that was another big learning curve, was I wasn't attracting what I wanted because I was vibrating it so low, and I was trying to get things that were up here. So raising my energy level, raising my vibration to make sure that I was attracting what I wanted. And I trained my mind. This is a big one. I trained my mind that when we rest our head at night, we run through the positives. So when I lay down at night, that used to be the worst part of the day. I would run through the worst case scenarios for everything. I would run through the day and I would relive every silly moment, and I would just let it eat me alive. Now, when I lay down, I run through the positives of the day. I run through my positive traits and qualities. I describe who I am. I like who I am now, the good, and who I'm working towards, right? I create visions for my goals and my life. So I'm playing this all in my head like if it's a movie. Like, what am I doing? How am I helping others? How are the conversations going? What am I doing for work? How do I feel while I'm doing it? And these are the thoughts that I feed my mind before I go to sleep. So every night as I'm falling asleep, I am playing a movie in my head of me with everything that I want, goal wise, and how I feel, how I think. Now, I am here to let you know that you can regain control of your thoughts and your feelings. You can actually snap yourself out of a funk and out of that downward spiral. You can choose to be happy, and you can stop overthinking. Now you might be thinking, okay, Mel, you're full of shit. I am not. You can do all these things. I did, and I'm still doing it, and I'm still working on it because there is no perfection in it, but you can. So let me ask you this. I want you to reflect on this, okay? And journal on it. And when I say journal, I don't mean the way that we were taught to journal in a diary when we were kids. Like, dear diary, this is what happened today. No. I want you to sit, reflect, write everything that comes to mind. Right? So journal on what a perfect day looks like. The perfect day. Okay? How do you feel? What are you doing? So go through the day and describe it in as much detail as possible. Okay, so start the second your eyes open to the moment you fall asleep. So go through the entire day and describe in as much detail as possible. Okay, describe what you're thinking, describe how you're acting, how you're presenting yourself, what you're doing, how you're responding to the demands of the day. So everything that's happening around you, how are you acting? And how are you responding to all these things that are coming up? And be mindful of how you're feeling when you're writing this day out. So as you're writing this day, your mind is going to go to, this isn't possible. This is not real. This is not what my life looks like. I promise you, that's where your mind's going to go. It's going to be like, what is this? Because you're used to doing things and thinking in a certain way. So as you're writing out your day, when you open your eyes, how do you feel? Like, how does your body feel? Are you tired? Are you excited for the day? When you open your eyes, like, what's the first thought? Are you thinking something positive, or are you thinking like I did a year and a half ago, like, okay, here we go? Are you checking your phone right away? And that's something that I personally need to work on, you know? So every single thing, like, how are you getting ready? What clothes are you choosing? How are you doing your hair? Um, and then what are the foods that you're going to choose? If you have kids, what does waking them up look like? Is it, you know, going from personal experience, when I would wake up the kids to go to school, it was chaos. It was just, it, it was just torture on everybody, right? Getting them up and getting the clothes and getting their hair done and getting them fed and out the door. It was just a shit show. Whereas now, because I work towards reaching that goal achieved, right? I wake them up by playing around. I wake them up by tickling. I wake them up with kisses. I wake them up with fun. Sometimes I blare some music and they look at me like I'm nuts. It's fine, right? But what does your perfect day look like? So when you're getting those kids up, when you're getting yourself ready, what's the atmosphere? And as you're writing this out, like I said, feel it. How are you feeling when you're writing out this perfect day? Now, here's the fun part. Okay. Realize that the perfect day that you just created on paper is entirely possible. So that perfect day that you just made up, is actually 100% possible. It's all with the shifting of how you're thinking. It is truly the mindset around everything that matters. And if you're still thinking, you know, I don't get it. I don't know how this works. I don't know how I could get there. I am here to tell you, and I need you to hear it, that it is doable and it is possible. Okay? I couldn't have done any of this journey on my own though. I could have started reading the books. I could have started journaling. I could have started writing out affirmations. And most of these things I had tried to do by myself, but there was missing something. I wasn't I wasn't absorbing. I didn't know how to use the information that I was reading. So I couldn't have done this work, and I couldn't imagine continuing this work without the help of the amazing group of women that I chat with every single morning, and the coaches that that know when to push, when to shut down that spiral, and when to encourage. So here are your action steps. Okay. I encourage you to do the journaling activity that I just suggested. Journal your perfect day. Okay. What does it look like? And then the second one, okay, you need to start being mindful and aware of your thoughts. And here's a tip: reject the things that aren't serving you. And by serving, I mean anything that is not helping you be your better self. So we talk often about, you know, if there's a thought coming in and you're like, this is ridiculous. It's like, no, stop. Done. Next. So we next things. And as silly as that sounds, it's like, you know, when you're scrolling and you see something come up that that you don't want to read, that you don't want to see, you next it, you swipe and it's gone. Do the same thing with your thoughts. So when a thought comes in that isn't what you want to think about, it's not going to move you in a right direction. It's not going to raise your vibration. It's not going to help you in any way. Next it. Done. Next. You may feel silly at first, especially if you're running this in your head. You're going, next. No. But do it anyways. It will become habit and it will become much easier. Okay. So 1, journal your perfect day. 2, start nexting stuff that isn't helping you. And then your third action step is, if any of this is resonating with you, if you want to know more, right, reach out to me. I am here to be your mindset and wellness coach. I am here for you. I want to help you get past these limiting beliefs and these thoughts by simply sharing what has worked for me and helping you move forward. All right, so journal your perfect day, start nexting things that aren't serving you, and then reach out. Those are your action steps for today. So you can find me on Facebook, melanie.layman, or Instagram. And yeah, just let me help you. So let's get you the life you desire and you deserve. All right. So thanks for listening. And again, reach out and let's chat. Bye.